Opposition to this bill. The actions and the limitations imposed by the bill are, in my view, duplicative and unnecessary. They would also undermine the integrity of the Antiquities Act, which has been crucial in protecting some of our nation's most valuable sites. The Antiquities Act has a long-standing bipartisan history. President Teddy Roosevelt first designated a national monument in 1906, and 16 presidents, 8 Republican, 8 Democrat, have used this authority to protect irreplaceable natural, cultural, and historic areas since then. And of course, the examples include things like the Grand Canyon, Muir Woods, the Statue of Liberty. Nearly half of our national parks were originally protected under the Antiquities Act, and this bill would impede a president's authority to designate these type of national monuments. The 112th Congress was the first Congress since World War II not to protect a single acre of land as a national park, wilderness, or monument, despite bipartisan support for many bills on the ground and in the Congress. While we hope this trend will not continue, it's critical that we maintain the President's authority to designate national monuments to address it if necessary. H.R. 1459 sets an arbitrary and unnecessary limitation on the President of one national monument designation per state per 4-year term. And it also imposes what I believe is a duplicative requirement that a NEPA review be carried out prior to the monument designation. There's already a requirement that a NEPA analysis occur as part of the management plan for any new national monument. And of course, an inherent part of that is the solicitation of public input. As such, this bill is an unnecessary roadblock to the designation of national monuments. And I just want to say one more thing. I think we need to be very honest. This bill is not going to become law. This bill sure seems a lot like partisan gamesmanship, taking a law which generally my colleagues across the aisle curse as something that does bad things and applying it to something that is near and dear to the hearts of many Americans to try to make a political point. The previous bill, we were told, was necessary because Congress has ceded too much of our authority, and yet we sit here as part, and I take no joy in this, as part of the least productive Congress in American history. I would love to be part of a Congress that was actually working on serious problems for this country, getting things done, and maybe earning a little bit of the moral high ground to make that kind of an argument, that maybe we need more authority to deal with tough public policy problems. But so far, it certainly appears like this is an institution that simply can't handle serious problem solving. And so to continue to argue that executive authority should be limited, more authority should be vested in a body that simply can't do anything, I think is a very, very tough argument to make, especially in this Congress. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. Is there further discussion on the bill? If not, gentleman from Oregon is recognized.
Just so Mr. Bishop can get a chance to speak again, so he'll find someone to give him time, or maybe I'll have a little left over. Mr. Chairman, I would observe, of course, Congress is exempt from NEPA. We can designate monuments, we can designate wilderness, and we do that without going through a NEPA process. Generally, we would conduct public hearings, and I think that's, that the public should be involved and should be consulted in these decisions. And I would be happy to discuss with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle ways to structure that without, as the gentleman pointed out from California, essentially creating a duplicative process where first you would go through NEPA to designate, and then after you designate, you would go through NEPA to manage. And the other issue is that Congress has full authority to repeal or modify any of these designated national monuments. And I'm not aware that any Congress has ever repealed one. Perhaps at some point in the past there were modifications. I'm not aware of that either, but that seems more likely since I don't know of any repeals. And when the majority's witness was testifying here maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, I asked the gentleman testifying if he knew who that was, a gentleman I served with, Jim Hansen. And I pointed out to him that when Jim chaired this committee and the Republican Party controlled the House, the White House, and the Senate, that he did not move to either modify or repeal the designated monument in his state or in any other states. When Secretary Jewell was here, just I guess it was last week or the week before, I asked her the question, would she prefer that Congress, used the Wilderness Act or other designations to having the President, use the Antiquities Act to protect areas that would be better classified as wilderness. She said absolutely, that they would love to work more cooperatively with us on those issues. I think many of the members on both sides of the aisle were impressed with her attitude and her testimony. And I would hope that in this Congress, last Congress, we had 24 bipartisan wilderness bills introduced, that in this Congress perhaps some of those will be, I know there's actually been hearings now scheduled, but would actually be acted upon by this committee in areas where there is some consensus, bipartisan consensus, instead of leaving the President with a less with a more blunt tool to protect, absolutely outstanding natural resources, which is the Antiquities Act. So I would urge my colleagues to oppose this, this amendment. And, okay, with that, I would yield back the balance of my time.
I'll recognize myself just for a few moments to make an observation on this. I support